want to dominate your wants, you want to dominate your hunger, you want to dominate your thoughts, you want to get peace of thoughts, you have to have the sense of purpose in your life. You got to discover yourself. And the self-discovery is very important. And that is something very human beings should have. And the third important point that we should have is that how do we live in a harmonious society? Now, in society, we have to compete with each other. Yes, competition is extremely important. And without competition, we'll not survive. But competition also does not mean that we compete in an unethical manner. We compete by hurting others. We compete to demonstrate our capability, but we cooperate with everybody else because all of us are engaged in building a common society where everybody can live in peace. I think that's very important. And that is because in our civilization, the values are that nothing, that you have the right to go on your own path. All of us believe self-realization through a guru is the right way for us. And there are multiple paths to go everywhere. All paths lead to one single end that we have learned in our heritage, in our great books. But we have the freedom to go on our own path. And the freedom to go on our own path means we have to be on a path of self-discovery. Now, that kind of culture is extremely important. And the next attribute individuals should have is to have a sense of purpose of life. What is the purpose of life? Is the purpose of life to make more money, to be economically strong, to be culturally strong, or to be a person who seeks power? Because if you want to be economically strong, you want to be a person who seeks power, then necessarily there'll be violence. Because in a society, very often you cannot get power, you cannot be economically strong unless you are at the edge, you cross the path of somebody else. And that's my personal belief. So in our culture, a person has to make sure that he understands the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to understand ourselves, to get self-realization, to understand the purpose of life. So these are all the civilization aspect, the cultural aspect, and the leadership aspect that we want. And we have to learn to be leaders. We have to learn to be leaders based on values, based on a curious mind, and based on compassion, and based on accepting that we are a part of nature. I'm sure in your institution, you teach these values, and that is why we're such a very important and outstanding institution where your products, the people who graduate from you, are very, very good people. So I want to say, in the modern era, we need a multi-dimensional human being, a human being who can think, who can ideate, who is innovative, a human being who is curious, a human being who's got enough knowledge, a human being who can be a problem solver, a human being who can live in society, a human being who has compassion, a human being who has a great value system. All that is essential, because the old education system of the Gurukula, where the Gurukula taught the student all these values, is still relevant today and will be relevant so long as the human beings on this planet, and so long as we respect Swami Vivekananda. And the way we get education from the outside in the universities, that will change, because that has been changing throughout. Thousands of years ago, we had the Gurukula, where the teacher taught a small set of people. Then in the Industrial Revolution, we had a 1:many broadcast, where there was a classroom, there was a curriculum, there was rigidity. You came to class, if somebody taught you, you wrote an examination, you got a piece of paper, you walked out, you got a job. Now that's going to change, because the limitation of that is going with the advent of technology. So education in the modern era will change. The value system will remain same. A human being has to morph to understand what is required for the future. And along with all of that, he has to learn how to find happiness, how to find contentment. The end of life is to find happiness, contentment, live with your own conscience. And that is the most difficult thing to do. And in our culture, education is a means of explaining to people how to find self-realization and how to find contentment and how to find happiness. And if you read Swami Vivekananda, his journeys, his teachings all around the world was to explain to people the importance of self-realization, the importance of living in harmony and finding themselves. So I want to end here by saying that things are going to change, but our value system and our culture and the qualities a human being should have to succeed will not change. We must get along with the change, but we must not lose the essence of what it means to be human. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was so fluent and so wonderful to listen to you, sir. Dr.
Thank you, Samaji.
TV Mohandas Pai. I think you'll have a lot of queries or observations from our respected guests. Can I request Dr. Chakrabarti from Kolkata to share his views on what you have heard? Dr. Chakrabarti, you can unmute and speak. Anil, konju check chey. Dr. J. Chakrabarti.
Yeah, Chakravarti ji, you just unmute and talk, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a minute observation. Bhalo achen to?
হ্যাঁ ভালো আছি
Bolo.
Pranam Maharaj, and my deep regards to Dr. Mohandas Pai, and it's really a privilege to listen to you today. I listened to you earlier also. You are a so eloquent speaker and you speak so fluently. That gives a lot of impression. And sir, actually, the education system is going for 360-degree revolution. And now there will be a lot of questions about the way we used to teach people and the exchange of knowledge between the students and the teachers. And with the inflow of, as you are rightly indicating, that there should be an amalgamation between the traditional system of Gurukul and the blending of technology. That is really need of the hour, sir. Because the way we are progressing, India is emerging as one of the strongest country. So we need to create our own niche. And definitely it's a pleasure to listen to you, sir, and we'll be hoping to participate in such events more. Thank you, Maharaj, for the kind invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Chakrabarti. We have another respected friend, R.K. Mishra ji, the director of one of the topmost big management schools in Hyderabad, Institute of Public Enterprise, dealing with students from all over the country. You can unmute and speak, sir. Professor R.K. Mishra. Anil,
Yeah, Maharaj, sir, you are co-host. Please unmute yourself.
R.K. Mishra ji.
Yeah, Maharaj.
Are you able to hear now?
Yeah, you can speak, sir.
See, I am listening to Mr. Mohandas Pai is a very great treat. And I joined Mr. Chakravarti in saying that I had been listening him, I think, for quite a few webinars. He's one of the most eloquent speaker, and he's one who believes in bringing about change. Because I think his philosophy, as I have understood, is that change always helps in bringing new ideas, in thinking afresh. But my question to him, I think, because he's also a part of the new education policy, we have benefited a lot. We have had the opportunity of Dr. Kasturirangan coming to Institute of Public Enterprise and giving the convocation address, and we have been seeing that during last 20 days, Prime Minister has been speaking on that, Vice Chancellors have been speaking. In fact, I was also a part of the deliberations in the Vice Chancellor Forum. Education Minister has been speaking. You know, entire education world, I think, I would say, in the higher education, and yesterday Prime Minister was with the school education people. My question there is that, you know, can we bring in some speed, I think. What happens is that in our country, we talk about change. Of course, Sankaracharya also told Shane Shane. But as Mr. Mohandas Pai has been saying that, you know, times are changing, and therefore can we bring in some speed in our action? And I was very much, you know, depressed when somebody made a comment that it may take 15 years for them to bring about those changes. 15 years is too long a period in a country like this. So I think Mr. Mohandas Pai, you know, his views are heard. And even I think when you talk of new education policy, see the first 3-4 pages. I think the first draft was vetted by Mr. Mohandas Pai and also our former chairman, administrative chairman, Dr. P. Ramarao. And even in the final report, you find, I think, you know, these glorious names. But the question is that they are the people, I think. Mr. Mohandas Pai is a person with speed. He believes in transformation. He believes in change. What can country do to cope with Mr. Mohandas Pai's, you know?
Dr. Mishra, that's a very, very good question, as usual. I mean, I've interacted with you. I'm so happy to talk to you again. My view is very simple. What this new education policy and the new world does is give greater autonomy to institutions. And change will be driven by institutions and not the government. For too long, because of the control Raj in education, we have been used to have change directed from the top, where we want UGC to issue a circular, AIC to issue a circular, etc. The AICT chairman has been telling everybody, look, you have full autonomy. What I am doing is a framework. Within the framework, you can go and do what you want. Now, the new education policy talks about greater autonomy for all the educational institutions. They've given us a framework, and the framework gives us a lot of liberty. So I would say the ball is in the court of all institution leaders like Swamiji, like yourself who runs the IPE. Now, using the new education policy, you have to reconfigure what you teach, how you teach, and what you do, and how you do it in your own institution, and create the kind of flexibility with the outside world. So the children who come out of your institutions are very different, and use technology to give them all the benefits. Now, nothing prevents you from doing that. Earlier, what prevented institutions was the rigidity of the UEC circulars and everything else. Now you have the new policy. Of course, for the policy to give you a curriculum, give you all the things that we wanted in the past is going to take time because they're not prepared for it. It'll take some time. But within the entire policy, what institutions can do, there is no limitations. So I would urge all of you to start changing immediately so that your students start getting benefits immediately. And in 3 or 4 years, you would have been able to transform yourself.
Yeah, I've got a small this one as far as this IPE or IIMs or things are concerned, but their focus is on placements and getting back the packages and things like that. Is it a tussle between what to be, how a man should be, or how man should have?
Swamiji, my view is, the biggest challenge for society today, because of a large population, is livelihood.
Yeah.
Now, people like you have given up a normal life, are devoted yourself to the service of society. You live on very little.
Yeah.
Your ambitions are very, very high. You are a different man. Everybody cannot be like you. We are mere mortals. You are not a mere mortal. You are an extraordinary person. You don't have a family. We are all family oriented. So we suffer from hunger. We suffer from greed. We suffer from fear. You are beyond all that because you live in a different world. Now, in our world, I understand, in our world, the output and the job and the money that you get when you go out is extremely important. And that is how we are judged. But we have to work to change that. So what we can do is, in our students, we can inculcate a sense of social responsibility. We must inculcate more values. We must inculcate the idea of a good human being, a complete human being, in the way Swami Vivekananda taught all of us. Yeah. And that we must tell them will help them succeed much, much more. Because ultimately, when they go out, even if they get a good job, a fat salary, they still have to work for the next 30 years. And the next 30 years, if they have to be leaders, the value system that Swami Vivekananda taught us and what you are teaching, what IPV will be teaching, is the one that is going to make them succeed.
Yeah.
So we must tell them, yes, you are evaluated like this. This is what it is. But what is going to be more sustaining over the long term is the leadership attribute, you understanding how to get along with people and the value system you want. Because today in the world, people are looking for sustainability. People are looking for a triple bottom line. They're not only looking for it to make more money. So the world has changed, Swamiji. But what you say is right.
Yeah, the question is between need and greed. Gandhiji said,
yes,
there's enough in the market for man's need, man's greed. Then the whole thing becomes a fish market again.
No, I know, but today the world is suffering, isn't it? There's climate change. We're seeing the fires in California. We're seeing the polar ice melting. We are seeing less monsoon and less water in India. So all of us have to be aware. Yes.
Yeah. There's one of our volunteer students who has done a lot of work in Rajasthan villages, leaving her posh career here in Hyderabad. She took up 2 years of Gandhi Fellowship and did tremendous service. I used to interact with her. She is there online. I'll just ask her to just, in case she has got a doubt, how this message can reach Rajasthan villages, things like that. When we are talking in Hyderabad or Bangalore or Delhi or IB. Shreya Thakkar, your experience in education?
Yes, Swamiji. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. My heartfelt namaskars to all the audiences here, to Mohandas sir and Swamiji. Um, yeah, I've been listening to Mohandas ji from last 45 minutes and more. And thank you for actually highlighting certain points, especially related to self-realization and identifying one's own potential, going out and working for society along with our posh careers that we have. So while I was working in Rajasthan, I was really wondering that why things are not moving in rural areas, and as much as they should be moving in like as fast as they are in cities, I don't see them in rural areas. So this has always been a question, but yeah, seeing NEP, I am highly inspired with the potential it's showing and the summary that you gave to us, and you showed us the potential. So thank you for that. But I have a question here that NEP does focus on gender stereotypes related to STEM. So how STEM is going to work out? I mean, operational aspect seems really difficult because of the infrastructural issues. So how STEM for girls will work out, to be very specific?
I think the STEMs for girls will work out very well for a very important reason. You'll be very surprised in the medical field, 55 to 60% incoming class is women. Okay?
But
And you'll be very
engineering
happy.
still remains a question, sir.
No, I'll tell you, I'll come to that. In fact, in Manipal University, in our medical college, I told Dr. Ramdas Pai, our chancellor, that we have to reserve seats for men because they're getting more and more girls, and the girls are doing very well, both coming in and becoming doctors. Then in the engineering schools, I think the incoming class in most of the good schools are 40%. The IITs are low, I think 20%. Now they're given a 10% more seats for girls because they also want to make sure that girls get a chance. And the reason the IITs is because, there are less seats, only some 11, 12,000 seats, 2.5 lakh people apply. And many of the young people go to cramming schools, etc. And many of the girls cannot leave their home, go to a cramming school for 2 years and study. So they are at a disadvantage. It's not that they're less bright, they're as bright as anybody, much brighter, etc. And I think that is shifting. So in other colleges, they're all, I think, doing extremely well. And the third point I want to before you is, in the entire higher education field, you'll be very happy. Last year, for the first time, the gross enrollment rate for women was higher than the men. In the last 5 years, about 750,000 more girls have joined, whereas the number of boys joining is only gone up by 5,000. So we are seeing more and more girls come, and they're there everywhere. Yes, they're not there as many scientists as possible because society is not very kind to young mothers. Because when you become a young mother and you have a small child, you need to have flexibility in your career. Society doesn't create the flexibility. Now things are much better. Society doesn't create the facilities for you to take care of a child because family is very important. We cannot do without family. And society is very patriarchal in that way, but things are changing. Today, things are much better than 5 years ago. And 5 years now is going to be very, very easier. So I would say that, yes, there is a challenge, but we are on the path to progress. And what is happening is very good. But I am very happy at the way our young girls and young women are fighting this battle and doing better. Look at you. You gave up your job, a cushy job, went to a rural area. You're probably living alone and you are handling very difficult things. And, you're coming here and talking to us with so much of, great enthusiasm and so much of pride in your words. And we are so happy, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Swamiji, for having this exposure for us, because listening to Sir was really important for us to understand the education aspects being in the sector itself. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely true. Congratulations, Shreya, and keep up that good work. Question to Mohandas Paiji. What should be the role of parents in future education from now on till in next, say, 5 years, 10 years? Parents.
One thing has happened, Swamiji. I made a study. Today, the Indian mother wants a child to get educated. The Indian mother will eat 1 meal less a day. She'll sacrifice everything, but she wants a child to go get a college education. And that's why you see more and more girls in rural areas, in villages, go to college, because the mother is making sure the girls go to college. So what should parents do in future? I would say, one, the parents should spend more time with the children. I remember, Swamiji, my mother was a school teacher. She is now 87 years old. And as a school teacher, she used to get up in the morning, feed us, make us go to school. In the evening, when we come back, do our homework, cook for us, give us dinner, and go late, sleep late. She sacrificed everything for us, spent a lot of time. My father didn't spend so much time with us, but I have not spent so much time. My wife has spent enormous amount of time with my two children, two boys. The boys have grown up very well. So I think parents, especially the father, has to spend more time with the children to talk to them, to make them adjust. Because all of us as parents have to understand our life will be known by what our children do. If our children don't do well, then our whole life, I would say, is almost wasted. Because what are we leaving behind? Only our children and possibly a better world. So I think they need to spend more time. Second, parents must learn a little bit more of technology, because when children are young, they must teach children how to use technology. And the last thing is, parents must teach our children their language, the mother tongue, their culture, and the heritage. Swamiji, when I was a boy, my father used to recite to me the Mahabharata and the Ramayana.
That's right.
And I remember it even now. That's how he passed on culture. I was not able to do it for my children because I was never at home. I was working very hard trying to build my career. So I would urge all parents to say, your culture, your great epics, pass it on for a very important reason. They pass on your culture because you are Indian, you are born of this soil. And two, they teach a value system. And through the great epics, they teach you how to interact with others, how to live with others. You know, there is always the Shakuni in life. There is always the Duryodhana in life. There's always the Krishna in life. There's always the Vivekananda in life. There are all kinds of people and you need them. How do you interact with them? How do you make sure you don't fall into bad ways, right? And all that will come because the stories that we hear in the epics teach you about the persona, and the persona comes through. Like, Swami, like Ramakrishna ji, when he saw Narendranath come to him, he said, "Oh, Narendranath, you have come after such a long time." Because, he said, "Narendranath is a boon that has come to me," right? He knew who he was, right? Yeah. Just imagine, he was a teacher to young Narendranath, a very skeptical young man. So I think it's important that parents should spend more time, pass on their culture, pass on their language, and make our children Indian. Today, the biggest fear I have, Swamiji, in a society is we are getting very westernized. And being westernized, we are not Western, we are not American, we are not Englishmen, correct? But we speak more of English, we don't speak our own languages, and we're getting more and more removed from our culture and what we are. We must stay in our culture, we must be Indian, we must be global citizens. Like Swami Vivekananda was, he could go to any part of the world and be part of them, but he never lost the fact that he was Indian. So we have to develop that capability, and that will come only when parents take deeper interest in the children. And today we're having the problem of drugs. Yeah. In many schools and institutions, there is a problem of drugs. There's a fight going on in Bombay about drugs in Bollywood, right? Why does it happen? It happens because the young people have become weaker. They succumb to temptation. And, if they have a strong value system, the parents have taught them, they will not do it.
Yeah, but and then that increases a kind of stress in the children also. Yes. Apart from this academic, you've got the stress, you've got the competition, you've got some really created goals, not the realistic goals.
Yes.
How in this
today, Swamiji, I think, parents must allow children to follow their dream. You'll understand in the previous generation, my parents' generation, they had nothing. They were so poor. They had to work hard. They had to earn a living. They had to sacrifice to bring their children up. Now, my children don't have to do that. They don't have to support anybody. They don't have to support their siblings. They don't have to support their family. Earlier, one person had to support 5 people, right? So terms have changed. Today, we should let children follow their own dreams, follow their own careers, give them the flexibility, but make them good citizens and good human beings. That is our contribution.
Yeah. Now, in this, as you said, we have to make is one thing, but the process is somewhere down the line missing. Now
process missing. We are not spending time. We don't have enough gurus like you.
That's where the role of human excellence plays a very important role.
Yes, Swamiji. Very true. Very true.
As you know, even online, we are doing these moral classes and yoga classes. Nearly 850 students have joined.
Wonderful. There's a hunger, Swamiji. There's a hunger for moral classes. There's a hunger for yoga classes. There's a hunger for learning about a value system, about a culture. There's a hunger. The problem was, in the last 30 years, we lost sight of where we want to be. Yeah. We are carried away by this Western concept of materialism, which I think is still important for many of us, but we are carried away because our role models were people who are westernized. Our role models were people who had a lot of money. in our culture, Swamiji, you know, traditionally our role models have been our scholars, our gurus,
Yeah.
our Raja gurus, not the king, not the rich man. We must bring back that culture.
Yes. I'll just show you a small video of what we have done for the last 20 years, and then
Yes,
have
Swamiji.
1 or 2 a few minutes of discussion on that.
Yes, Swamiji.
Just our volunteer to play, please. Just a 3-minute video about the activities of human excellence.
Yes, Swamiji.
Anil, please play that video.
Sure, Maharaj.
Yeah. Milape. Yeah, this your observations on this, how we can take this forward in the present education system.
Swamiji, I think you have got the seeds of what is required to create leaders. To me, the question is, how do you scale up?
Yeah.
How do you reach out to more people? And today there is a tool. Technology is a tool. So I would say a lot of good videos to be put up on YouTube, lot of online courses to be done for everybody who can join freely, some certificate courses on understanding morals, understanding value system, a course on learning about Swami Vivekananda, etc. Swami Vivekananda's books to be put up on the web for people to download and to read. Kindle books on Swami Vivekananda, and a lot more outreach programs from your institution to others. So people can, larger number of people can get it, and creating trainers or people who can do that themselves under your supervision, who are fit for purpose when you certify them. Now you are a very extraordinary individual because you are a devotee. You are devoted your whole life to your mission, to the Ramakrishna mission. So you're very different. You're not like us. Your worldview is very different. Everybody cannot be the same. So you must develop a document or a process by which ordinary people can get some of the qualities of heart and mind that you have, all of you have, so that they can go out and train people with a lot of genuine feelings. So people will not think they just come because they've been appointed, because it has to be a vocation.
I know.
And the vocation should be to make the world a better place. And they have to be trained to think like you in a very different way while leading a normal life. I think the question is scale. Technology offers you a big, big solution.
Yeah. We have one of our volunteers who is a PG student and now going for a PhD. She has something to say and ask you also. Charita?
Yes. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
It is a pleasure listening to you. I'm Charita. Swamiji had already introduced me. So this is after finishing my 10th class, I entered into Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, and various courses which were there, I got in touch with that and I became a volunteer. So as I passed through my education, I finished my BSc and PG, MSc I did. And the comparison when I see, where did I learn more and all? If I see when I was volunteering, that I found as the real education. Than this, that had made me independent. This education, while I was volunteering, while I was serving somebody, when I was thinking about others, when that's the way when I improved my communication skills. That's when I improved reading habit. That's when I improved to put in my ideas fearlessly and all. So this would definitely help all the students, and this is what is needed. And after going for my higher studies now, of course, so I feel this is the real education. And I always we are a team of volunteers who regularly come to VIHE, get trained there and do various things, participate in various things. And we very much feel every college student has to orient themselves, because everybody need not take the name of VIHE, but it can be part of their curriculum. Why can't it be right from their beginning? Because it is our very culture, because we are very close to the culture than the Westerners. So why are we getting oriented? I understand one point that you told is parents' role. So the second point comes the education system, which will orient us towards us. I came to VIHE because my parents were connected. Not all parents are connected. So how do we bring about the change with respect to reaching out to varied areas and going?
You know, you make a very important point. See, we had one size fits all program, a very rigid education system in the last policy. Now the new education policy had made it very flexible. Flexible for young people like you, who can say, I'm doing a 3-year, 4-year course. After 1 year, I want to leave, go work somewhere, come back after 1 year, and I want to study again, and you'll be a better person. Because today, what is taught in colleges and universities and what is real life, the gap is very wide. You don't understand what real life is, where you have to use your knowledge unless you go out, right? And if you have a gap year, like they say among young people in the Western, is the gap year, where you'll take 1 year off, work, go around and talk to people, do some social work and come back, you are a much better human being. You interact with real people, you understand real problems, and you're grown up with them, you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to work, and that makes you much, much better. So I think that flexibility that's required in higher education is now available in the new education policy. And hopefully, many institutions will use the flexibility to give young people who are students, want to be like you, the real life experience. And two, I think the content or the curriculum load will be less, because much of what you learn, you can discover yourself. You don't have to learn that because it's available. Because you just have to Google it to get to know everything, right? Because everything is available, right? So you don't have to memorize it, put it into your hard disk, etc. What you need is how to find it, how to solve problems. So the curriculum load will come down, and that means there will be more time for you to do projects, more time for you to say, work for 6 months with the NGO, go to a remote area, do some social work there, go live in a village and come for 6 months, work with people and come back, and that will be part of your degree. I think the flexibility is there, and that will be very good. That will make it happen.
And adding to it, sir, what would be the role of teachers in this? I mean, flexibility, definitely if students are given the flexibility, that is the real flexibility. I can go into a negative direction or can a positive direction. That's when my teachers play a role to show me the direction you go into this path.
Yeah, the
So-
teacher should give you guidance. In our culture, everybody needs to have a guru. We can learn by ourselves, but we need a guru to explain to us the deeper meaning of things. So for all of us, the teacher plays a very important role. The teacher has to look after all the students, guide them, talk to them once in a while, review what it is, make sure they don't go in the wrong direction, keep in touch with them. It cannot be that you tell them, okay, you go, come back after 6 months, do what you want. That's not the way. You must talk to them every week. You must be in touch. You must go meet them once in 2 months, once a month, and do that. So the teacher has to become a mentor and be in continuous interaction. Very important to guide people.
That's where maybe you agree with me if I say that VIHE or human excellence plays an important role, this institute?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're playing the role of a guru, real guru. Not a teacher alone, a guru. A guru is something much bigger than a teacher.
Much bigger, yes. That's where one of the questions comes, a very nice question in the modern, when we say NEP, National New Education Policy. But Swamiji had said, Vivekananda had said, take 5 ideas, make them your life. You'll have more knowledge than an entire library full of books. How can you relate that with the current NEP? What is the main idea behind?
I would say the main idea is flexibility for the institution and flexibility for the young person. Because in life, there is flexibility. You can do many things in life. You're not rigid. Of course, you should have the courage to do it. And to me, that is the big idea. The flexibility that's given here in setting the curriculum, in setting the courses, in choosing what to study, when to study, where to study, with whom to study, and institutions in designing courses with other institutions, cooperating with them, creating a network of institutions. That, to my mind, is a very big idea.
Yeah, there's one. Again, question comes back. In this time when a lot of time is spent in online classes and then there is stress, how do you make the students free from that burden? Again, I've seen people working for 8 hours, 9 hours, even school children.
Swamiji, you must reduce the curriculum load. That's
Yeah.
why for the school system, they said the curriculum load should come down by 1/3 or maybe 50%.
True.
And they said till the age of 8, till class 2, it has to be in play mode. No formal education. It is all
And-
play, because the brain is very plastic. So the child is always learning. The brain is forming. And that's why the child has to have a different thing. And then you need to have vocational integration integrated with school. So the content comes down. There's too much of content, too much of classroom teaching. There should be less of classroom teaching, less of classroom hours, more doing with your hands, more learning, more self-learning, I think, and reduce the load. And the examination should be continuous assessment. Now, it's so bad, Swamiji. You study the whole year. If you miss a 3-hour examination, your whole year is gone. Why should it go? There should be continuous assessment internally, and the university and the teachers themselves must set the final exam. I prefer an open book examination. Why can't you have an open book examination? Why should there be a fear of examination? Because an open book examination is more difficult for the student and the teacher than a regular examination. Because for the teacher, they have to set questions whereby they can understand the application of knowledge. And for the student, he's got to make sure he's got all the books, which has got everything, which is not possible. Because he has to glimpse through it. You have not read the books, you don't know where to find it. You won't know anything, right? So I think an open book examination will remove the fear. We must remove the fear of examinations. That is the key. The fear and the stress comes together.
Chakrabarti, ke bolen?
Yeah, I fully agree. Also, I would like to mention that our teachers need 360-degree orientation fast to implement these things, because we are also fixed in mind, as Dr. Pai referred about this neuroplasticity of brain. And definitely the curriculum should be more industrial friendly also, because at the end of the day, many students, they come up right now, there are a lot of graduates, engineering graduates, they are not employable. And there is a serious difference of the skill which is needed in the industry and the skills they already procured. If I'm not wrong, Dr. Pai.
I totally agree with you. But you see, the problem we have, Dr. Chakravarti, is at the scale. We are 3.74 crore young people in college. It's too much, the largest in the world. And we have 26 crore young children in school. See, we have a problem of scale. We don't have enough good teachers. Everybody wants to go to school. Everybody wants to go to the best school. So we have to live through it. And that's why we need more gurus.
Actually, as you rightly said about the Indian culture, let me share with you. Maharaj, I am taking just 2-3 minutes. Basically, a few days back, I was interacting with Marshall Goldsmith. As you know, Marshall is one of the very well-known leadership expert in the world. And I was asking that why your entire content is based in US management style and European management style. But what about the Indian management style? As because India, you know, you have visited many times, but you have given a lot of speeches here. But we have a long tradition. And then he told, yeah, I follow because I am a Buddhist. Then I told that why your books are not reflecting that, because you are teaching and a lot of executive coaches are taught by you across the globe. Then he told me very interesting thing. He told me, why Dr. Chakravarti, let us collaborate and write a book on Indian leadership style. And he was really very interested to learn that it's such a vast country, I told him. And he also experienced that so many languages, so many diversification. And also we now have a lot of great references like you in the world to show actually. So in fact, it will be my pleasure if I get your views on this. We may also catch up offline sometimes later.
You know, I agree with you totally, because today the entire management norms are westernized.
Absolutely.
They're based upon the Protestant work ethic of Max Weber.
Yeah.
Max Weber, who said the individual is more important than the group and the community, and individual aggrandizement is the end of society. So he created this kind of a culture which is based upon a structure, etc. Whereas our style of management in India is more paternalistic, is more of the Karta system, where there's a duty on the Karta to take care of everybody, and everybody is part of the family. It may sound too paternalistic, but that is more long term. That's why if you see the Japanese style of management, the Korean style of management, the Eastern style of management is very different from the Western style of management. Now, which is better? Which is better depends upon the time and the structure. No, we cannot say with evidence something is better, something is wrong. Even the Chinese, with their socialistic, capitalistic model, are done extremely well. As a country, they're done extremely well. America is very scared of them. So I think, and in the West, they're all talking about the failure of capitalism, which has led to great amount of greed, where the rich become richer, etc. So there are challenges everywhere. But as a country, we must have the Bharatiya style of management. And for that, we must rewrite our management books. And rewrite our management books in the Bharatiya style in a context where people relate to. That means it has to be modernized. It has to be based on the values that we have. And it has to come with things that we can smell and touch. That's why when you look at corporate governance in India, it has become a checklist. It has become a checklist because people believe, like Rahul Bajaj says, Bajaj Motors is my company. Yeah. But we tell him, as per management, it's not your company, you're only 51% holder. But he's saying it's 51%. I own the company. I am responsible. I will create value for you. Trust me. But he said, no, you can't be trusted. The board has to be trusted. See, there is a problem. So we have to bring this school of thought. And I think it's very important that people like you write more.
Thank you so much.
It's a hard work, and I think, but it is sure work. If once we start making some changes, things may become better.
Yeah, Swamiji, the time has come.
Yes, sir. I agree with you.
If everything, the time has to come. India is a $3 trillion economy. We are growing. We are becoming more prosperous. Want is going down. Poverty is going down. People are more confident in ourselves. So this is a time when we have to demonstrate what we are.
In fact, earlier, few days back in a talk, you mentioned that our states should act as individual center to promote their excellence in various fields.
Yeah.
That's really very important.
That's important. Yes.
Dr. Modi, you have got something to say. You can unmute and speak. Anil.
Ma'am.
Modi. Yeah, Modi, see. You're not audible, Modi. No. Is it your end? Mic setting. Your mic setting is mute.
Yeah, unmute yourself. Yeah, now. Yeah, go ahead.
Modiji, please remove the jack and keep one more time.
Jack. Mic.
You are not audible.
Remove the earphones, Modi ji. No.
Remove the jack, please. Remove the jack, then you will be audible. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah,
Sir is saying 5 minutes later he'll come.
Okay.
That is what.
Just to have a clarification from our good friend Mohandas Pai ji. When you say teachers are very important, and especially in Andhra Pradesh or things like that, when there's no recruitment of teachers last 15 years, one of our faculty is telling. He said, as far as AP is concerned, for the last 15 years and more, there has been no recruitment of teachers and lecturers, and no public service commission has not conducted any examination. Following the notification, hundreds of posts are vacant. So in this NEP and posts and exam, government, it's an intricate networking. We have to find out the solution somewhere as early as possible.
Yeah, Swamiji, the NEP has promised they'll spend 6% of GDP on education, school and college. But you see, the problem is there's a limitation on what what central government can do. Every state has to do it. If Andhra Pradesh wants to be developed, they have to spend more money. For example, the gross enrollment rate in Tamil Nadu is 49. Andhra Pradesh is about 33 or 34. Karnataka is 30. Bihar is 13. So we are not spending enough on higher education, and we must spend on government colleges. Government has an obligation to spend money on education, because at the end of the day, in society, human beings matter the most. Our citizens matter the most. And if you don't invest in your citizens and don't educate them, what is your future? You won't have a future. I think our political leaders don't understand that. They want to give free doles, free power, just to come back to power, because they only get elected for 5 years. So we must all talk to them and tell them that they have to do long term. And we must collect all the parents to go talk to them and say, what we want is good education. We don't want all the subsidies. Put money into education. It's a very sad thing.
Yeah. Who is to bell the cat then? Who is somewhere, some
Swamiji, we in society, Swamiji, we have to go and talk to them, because you see, in a democracy, political leaders will listen to people. We have to go as a group. We have to keep talking. Hopefully we'll get somebody and it'll happen.
Okay. Modi ji, are you there now?
Pranam Swamiji. Hopefully I'm audible now.
You are audible.
Pranam Swamiji, and namaskars to Mohandas ji and all the respected dignitaries. My question to Mohandas ji is, how can we get rid of this influence of English over everything? Because I read a book called Bhasha Niti by Sankrant Sanu. He's an ex-IITian and serial entrepreneur. And it was eye-opening. He says if Korea can be successful with Korean language in their higher education, if China can be successful, if France can be successful, if Israel can be successful, and there is a long list, if all these countries can be successful by keeping their higher education in English, in their mother tongue, then what stops Indians to actually provide higher education in their mother tongue? Why even an Ayurvedic doctor has to read in English? Why I have to, if I have to become a doctor or a CA or an engineer, there is no other option. Because I think a lot of our teaching workforce is actually struggling with the language. And that has, in a way, taken away their right to expression. I get so many emails regarding this English from teachers, from students. They literally cry out that they are struggling with
I
their
will,
language and expression, sir. How do we get rid
I
of
will
it, sir?
explain.
Please,
I will
sir.
explain.
Please.
See, there are three reasons. One is culturally, we haven't gotten over the white man's rule over India. 1,000 years of colonial rule, from the invaders from Central Asia and then from the English have made us very insecure. Of course, that is changing now. That's very good news. So that insecurity is there, that we have to be westernized. We have to learn English. That's the only way to be successful. Second important thing is we are not invested in our languages. Now, you made a very important point. The French treat the children in French, the Japanese in Japanese, the Chinese in Chinese, the Koreans in Korean, and the Germans in German, and they're doing very well. What is wrong with us? They translate the world's accumulated knowledge into their own language. We are not translated. Now in Bengali, how much is the total translation work of science and medicine and geography or whatever it is? There's not enough translations. In Kannada, how much of translation is there? How much of translation in Hindi? We're not translated. In France, 75% of all the books published are translations. In China, if you go to the bookstores, the moment a book is published somewhere in the world in French or English, they translate within 3 months into their own language. All the journals are in their own language. All the writing, scientific class. So you don't require to know any other language to do. If you learn only your language, the content is not there. That is the second one. And the third one, which is very, very important, very, very important, is we don't have enough vocabulary in our own languages because we are not invested in them. We need the terms. Of course, you say artificial intelligence, we can't say something else in Bengali, something else in Kannada, we must use artificial intelligence. So we need a set of scholars who will use the best the world has in many of the science and put them into our own language and give us the publications. And that mode of translation of knowledgeable people is required. If you get these three things, we can easily do it. Today, we have 29 states. We have about 18 official languages, 3,600 tongues. At least in 20 official languages, we should be able to do all this. Why can't we do that? Government has hardly spent any money. Politicians go and beat up people if you don't speak the local language. They, paint your signboard. But are they investing money in translation? Are they investing money in language? They are not. In Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, they fought for declaring Tamil and Kannada as classical languages. But when they declared a classical language, there were no scholars in the classical language. Everybody is dead. They're all forgotten. So this is the problem. We have to invest. What Shankara says is right, but we have to invest. Unless we invest, create the content, what content is there? That's the problem.
Yes, I'll just make one point, since I just read a comment of Professor Sumita Roy ma'am, that we have so many languages here, and because we don't have a common language. But there is a point by Sankaran Sanu in that book that European Union has done it. They have so many languages, and technology is today available which can translate seamlessly any language to any language.
Agree. We should do that.
Not be a problem. Yes.
We should do that.
Thank
Swamiji,
you,
I have to go now.
Yes,
One
sir.
last question.
We'll just take from our management friend, our Mishra ji or Srinivas Murthy can answer. They say most of the management textbooks are all foreign oriented, written by somebody else there sitting, and how do they understand the Indian culture and Indian things? And our students get to read that and take it. If I can get the opinion from R.K. Mishra ji, and just one last word and we'll discuss. R.K. Mishra ji or Srinivas Murthy ji can say.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste, Chapandi.
Namaste, sir. Mohan sir, thank you so much.
Namaste. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you so much, sir. You are our role model. We remember that Swami Vivekananda said, if you give me 100 young men of character, I can change this world. Sir, if he is alive, we would have seen you as the first person, sir. So you are really role model for many of us. And institutions, I think we are going through challenges now with the new education policy, and we have to compete with foreign universities. And we look forward for days where foreign students come to India to learn Indian way of doing business, sir. So what is your guidance?
No, my view is people will come to us once we are economically strong. Today, the West is going to China. Why? China has got money. They become very strong. They got a big economy. They will come to us. In technology, they're coming to us. Why? We are strong. We know technology. But they must come to us in many areas. They will come. But before that, like somebody said, like Swamiji said, we must develop our textbooks of management in our own languages. And we must have more case studies about Indian success. Indian companies who have been successful. Reliance is very successful. Bharti is very successful. Infosys is very successful, right? They're all Indian companies. We need more and more case studies to be taught in management that all the students are here. These are the companies that you must follow. So we must respect our own success, our own heroes, because we respect outsiders. We all want to learn about General Electric. General Electric is gone today. We want to learn about Unilever, but Unilever is no longer competing. Amazon has come up. So we must learn about our own companies. And for that, in management, we must develop our own case studies. We must do more research on the Indian style of management and what makes our great entrepreneurs succeed, because they believe in their own values. What made Mukesh Ambani succeed? What made Narayan Murthy succeed? We must talk to them and imbibe that and put it into management. So we need more Indian research.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it is
Can I
time
add
for
Can
you
I-
and others.
Can I add a bit?
Yeah.
See, I think, I heard
Mishra ji, please. Yes.
I heard Mr. Mohandas Pai only the other day. He was with the, the person, the great, educationist who has given, the new education policy.
Yeah, yeah.
And what is more important, as he has just observed, that we should start, I think, now speaking less and writing more. In higher education, what has happened is that our pedagogy and the kind style, style that we have chosen for the teachers is that they just go and lecture. No, I think today, as Mr. Pai was telling, we have Google, we have many other things. We can get, I think, that elementary knowledge from there. The job of the teacher is very different. A teacher is not Adhyapak today. A teacher is not an Udeshak today. A teacher is not an Upadhyay today. He is a guru. And guru is one. When you talk of guru, you talk of Ved Vyas. Now, Ved Vyas was a great guru. He spoke much less, but Ved Vyas gave us, all the Vedas. He gave all the Puranas. He gave us the Gita. He gave us the Mahabharata. All those things. He didn't speak much. So I would say today that our teachers in higher education, I think primarily higher teachers who are in higher education, in colleges and schools, they must now, I think, and have their own thinking. And based on their own languages, I think they should contribute. AICT has done something on that. AICT has opened a portal, and that portal is there only for indigenous knowledge. That
Right.
now they have prepared a list of about 350 experts, and they have requested them to write books in different languages on different topics. So I'm very sure, as Mr. Mohandas Pai told, unless you invest, you can't get return. So the first thing is that we must be investing in education, and part of it should go to research, part of it should go to writing. Unless we promote research and writing, we can't go forward. You have seen China, who was much behind India. Now China has overtaken India in terms of citations, in terms of journals, in terms of publications. Now, if that can happen, I think, as Mr. Mohandas Pai told, both the areas, education and health, we have lagged behind because our eyes were more on catching the votes. Our eyes were more, I think, in getting to the power. He used a very important term, power. Can we take a leaf from him and Gandhiji? No, power is not important. I think people are important. So can we be people oriented? That's, I think, the issue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it has been a fantastic views, observations, thoughts, a lot of discussion. We're very happy that Mohandas Pai ji was with us last 1.5 hours. And occasionally we'll be disturbing you, Mohandas Pai ji.
Yes, Swamiji.
He's
I'm very happy, Swamiji, to be at your service.
Yeah, I want you to talk to our volunteer group and create that fervor in them of taking this education forward.
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji.
So we'll just end with Asatoma Sadgamaya Stotram for the day.
Yes, Swamiji.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mrutangamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. So may Vivekananda bless you, inspire you on his 127th anniversary of Chicago address, and let us take the education and other things forward for the welfare of humanity and our own welfare. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
We have
Thank you. Very grateful, Swamiji. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much. Very grateful. Thank you. Bye-bye, Swamiji.
So we leave the meeting now, dear friends. Those who want to get associated with Human Excellence Institute can write to us, or our volunteers will guide you for registration. And we hope to meet on Sunday with a special webinar on psychology and other values with our faculty. Please join us at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning for a new kind of topic and ideas to solve our problems and to take the society forward. Thank you very much. Namaste. Shubharatri.
Pranam Maharaj.
Srimurti, Professor R.K. Mishra,
Thank you, sir.
Satyanarayana Garu, and Maruti ji, and all, Sumita Roy and everybody. My
Thank you,
namaskars to all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.